I'm a bad motherfucker.
$50 Filet-O-Fishes with my associate Keaton Weiss. How you doing, Keaton?
All right. My eyeball was itching earlier. I thought I had burned my cornea from the solar eclipse this afternoon.
Right.
I didn't look at it, but I caught some of it incidentally. I turned my head and I got a flash of light, and then my eyeball started itching. But it could have been a psychosomatic thing.
Well, isn't that that's like the St. Paul origin story, isn't it? Are you a believer now?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I had the glasses to look at it. I took my kids out to look at it, and I didn't look at it head on, but I kind of caught it a little bit, and then my eyes started itching. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just psyching myself into it. They say even if you burn your cornea, it usually heals in a few days.
It does.
Which is fine.
Well, I told you.
Look, I know people with one eye. It's not that bad having one eye.
No,
you could function pretty good.
A lot of the women think it's sexy.
Oh, yeah, right? I can see that.
All right, as long as you keep the patch on. You take the patch off. They leave you,
I know a guy who only has one eye. He has a glass eye, and it looks pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's convincing.
I mean, you don't want... It's not something you hope for, but it's something you could live with. The only thing that sucks about having one eye is then you have to live the rest of your life knowing you only got one left. You can't lose a second eye.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a kidney. You can give somebody a kidney, you got one left, but now you got to worry about something happening to your good kidney.
I got to be honest with you, and this is, not that I want to put any ideas in anyone's head. I've never understood why torture is like an art. Like, it seems to me you go for the eyes and most people will tell you everything. Right? Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like, what do you need all the elaborate Chinese water torture? I mean, I guess it's like for certain people, it's like calligraphy. It's like an art form. They want to, play with it and do this whole elaborate.
I mean, if you enjoy torturing someone, you want to start small because that prolongs the
You don't
torture.
want it to be over in 5 seconds.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so this whole thing of like, elaborate tortures, I don't get it, man. Most people like, I'm going to blind you for life. What do you want to know? That's
right.
It. That's it. You just develop the trade name, the eye gouger. And, they don't even have to bring you in the room. Say, we're bringing in the eye gouger. What do you want to know?
Right.
So speaking of which, Donald Trump has taken a stand on abortion, and a despondent nation cheers for the clarity. So let us see what our once and some say future president has said about the issue.
The Republican Party will always support the creation of strong, thriving, and healthy American families. We want to make it easier for mothers and families to have babies, not harder. That includes supporting the availability of fertility treatments like IVF in every state in America. Like the overwhelming majority of Americans, including the vast majority of Republicans, conservatives, Christians, and pro-life Americans, I strongly support the availability of IVF for couples who are trying to have a precious baby. What could be more beautiful or better than that?
You gotta love him. Now, rumor is that one of the reasons that Trump, I believe he doesn't like war. I believe he sees it as wasteful. But I think he's also being a New York real estate scumbag by background and profession, not politician. The kind of evil involved in running America is just a kind of evil he's never even dreamed of. And according to reports, when they've showed him films of babies and children being killed in war zones, he has exclaimed, "Oh, those beautiful babies." So rumor has it that Trump is sentimental about babies and children. Anything, Keaton?
No, so you're saying he likes babies. So
I'm saying it's probably not a put on. It's probably not a put on. They say that he saw that footage and said, "Look at all the beautiful babies." So
no one has ever loved babies like I've loved babies.
It's incredible.
Like
all the Secret Service agents talk about it. All the other presidents kick the babies. I'm the only one who likes them. But the IVF, obviously, on a political level, he has to take that off the table and make it clear that they're not going to outlaw IVF. So he's getting that one off the table right at the top.
Today, I'm pleased that the Alabama legislature has acted very quickly and passed legislation that preserves the availability of IVF in Alabama. They really did a great and fast job. The Republican Party should always be on the side of the miracle of life and the side of mothers, father, their beautiful babies, and that's what we are. IVF is an important part of that, and our great Republican Party will always be with you in your quest for the ultimate joy in life. Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended.
Both sides, really? Come on.
Everybody wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. Everybody wanted that.
Everybody wanted it. Even I had a tea once with Notorious RBG, and she said, "You need to get rid of this thing, Donald." Yeah. No. I think what he's referring to is actually Ruth Bader Ginsburg did say, and other liberal scholars said, that Roe v. Wade was poorly decided, and that an overturning of Roe v. Wade on legal principles was something that could definitely happen because the logic behind the decision was not really sound.
Sure. But that doesn't mean they wanted it.
That doesn't mean they wanted it. But a lot of them were saying, including her, that it needed to be codified by Congress.
Including a lot of Democrats. That's why Obama promised he would codify it.
Yes, which we will get to. Yes, he certainly did.
Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month.
I have never in my life, and I am from the New York theater community, I have never in my life met somebody who thought that, ever. Have you?
Up to and beyond the 9th month.
Up to the 13th birthday.
Yes, exactly.
Up until they get bar mitzvahed, you get your open season on the babies, on the beautiful babies. I've never met anyone who thought that. That's a complete straw man. And I've known the most, I just can't live in this country anymore with people who are this deranged in it kind of liberals, and I've never met anyone who believed that.
Right.
All right.
Concept of having an abortion in the later months and even execution after birth, and that's exactly what it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth, is unacceptable, and almost everyone agrees with that. My view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from
chair
a
in the
legal
hospital at some of these places. Some of these blue state hospitals, they got
little
chair.
Tiny electric chairs for the beautiful babies. They put the beautiful baby in
with a bowl of water in it. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Standpoint, the states will determine by vote or legislation or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land. In this case, the law of the state. Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be. At the end of
some will give you until sundown to make the county line before they come for you with nets and fishing poles. That's up to them. That's a state decision. If you've ever seen Planet of the Apes when they come on horseback, some states are going to do that to pregnant women. But that's up to them.
The day, this is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart or, in many cases, your religion or your faith. Do what's right for your family and do what's right for yourself. Do what's right for your children. Do what's right for our country and vote. So important to vote. At the end of the day, it's all about will of the people. That's where we are right now, and that's what we want, the will of the people. I want to thank the 6 justices, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch, incredible people. for having the courage to allow this long-term, hard-fought battle to finally end. This 50-year battle over Roe v. Wade took it out of the federal hands and brought it into the hearts, minds, and vote of the people in each state. It was really something. Now it's up to the states to do the right thing. Like Ronald Reagan, I am strongly in favor of exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. You must follow your heart of this issue, but remember, you must also win elections to restore our culture and, in fact, to save our country, which is currently and very sadly a nation in decline. Our nation needs help. It needs unity. It needs us all to work closely together. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, everyone, we have to work together. We have to bring our nation back from the brink, and that's where it is. It's at the brink, and we will. We will do it. I promise you, we will do it. Always go by your heart, but we must win. We have to win. We are a failing nation, but we can be a failing nation no longer. We will make our nation great. We will make our nation greater than ever before. Thank you very much.
Okay, so my initial thoughts, it's what you say. He's a bad businessman, but he's actually a good politician. If you're running as a Republican and you actually don't want to face the post-Roe backlash that Republicans keep facing, where they keep underperforming the polls, what other position are you going to take? He can't be pro-choice, right? I mean, states, okay, well, the libs live in states that are not going to vote for him anyway. So they're going to feel secure that their voting rights their abortion rights are protected. And the people who really care about this live in states where abortions, you're going to only be allowed to have it if you've been, abducted and impregnated by aliens. So politically, it's about the best you could do is throw it.
Yeah,
back
I mean,
to the states.
that's the only thing you could do. I mean, you risk losing to Joe Biden if you take the kind of hard line that a lot of the staunch right-wingers want you to take. I mean, that's the only way you really could lose this is by scaring the shit out of too many people in too many swing states about a national ban. Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's obviously the right thing for him to do there from a political standpoint. It's a no-brainer. That's really the only move. I have to say, though, I don't understand. I never understood the incest loophole for rape and incest. We're going to allow abortions. Why incest? Rape, I understand. If that's a non-consensual sex act and a woman gets pregnant from that. Okay, but if you're a pro-lifer and a brother fucks his sister and the sister gets pregnant, why should she have the right to an abortion? If you're a pro-lifer, what? Why? What's different about that?
So Keaton, are you coming out as being to the right of Trump on abortion?
I'm just saying, if I were pro-life, if I thought abortion were murder and I thought the life of a child was sacred,
sure,
and a consensual sex act took place between siblings and the sister got pregnant, why, as a pro-lifer, would I make an exception for that woman?
It's an interesting point because I think most of us, if you're not a sick bastard, when you hear this, you assume it's non-consensual. You don't think about the, flowers in the attic possibility.
If it's consensual incest, then I don't see why that should be an exception.
Well, there is. It's called GSA, genetic sexual attraction. It is a thing where you'll have generally not who have been raised together, although that happens sometimes. You've had cases where separated at birth kids or kids who were raised in different houses wind up getting together like that later on. There was a couple
recently.
What's that?
Don't get me wrong. I'm pro-choice, so this isn't my battle.
Recently?
This is my hill to die on. I'm just asking questions. I'm just trying to understand the opposite point of view.
Hang on, Misha's telling us.
No, it was a story Jimmy covered. There was a fertility doctor, who was impregnating everybody in town, and then of course
you're
the siblings
talking about
were getting together.
Her high school boyfriend was her brother, and she didn't know. No. I mean, there are couples like this. There's one in Germany that has had multiple children, and has been, I think, suing the government for the right to marry.
Right.
You know, when you got like consenting adults like that, it gets very dicey. I mean, it's not illegal. I think in Germany it is illegal. I think that's what the issue was. I don't think here it's actually illegal, but this segment has taken a really odd turn.
I'm just trying to understand the position. That's also my position.
Okay, if you believe that it's murder under any circumstances, well, then that's an argument against any exceptions,
right? Because if you're worried about birth defect, I mean, they don't make those kinds of exceptions.
That's what the extreme Christian right would argue.
That's the extreme position.
That there is no exception. That's Matt Walsh's position.
Right, exactly. Which we're going to
believe it's murder, so it's not even just incest. Like the argument you're making for incest, that would apply to anything. That would apply to rape as well. So the conservative community, as you're kind of predicting here, was very split over this decision. So this is a conservative host, Bill Mitchell. This was the only position Trump could take and hope to win in November. He just brilliantly took away the Democrats' #1 issue. However, Hercules was of a different mind. Kevin Sorbo said, "This is disappointing. Take a stand." And we have here Red Eagle Politics. Trump just took the issue of abortion off the table. Anyone throwing a fit about that statement doesn't understand how politics work and cares more about virtue signaling than actually being pro-life. And Trump, I mean, whoever wrote that speech for him did try to work that in, like, hey, you can't change the culture without winning elections. That was a dog whistle to people who are going to have that objection. Right. And then the aforementioned Matt Walsh. There is this was actually in reaction to Trump's anticipation of the statement, in which he telegraphed what he was going to say here. And Walsh says, there is no such thing as abortion rights. Rights are God-given, and God does not give anyone the right under any circumstance to kill children. So you and Matt Walsh are kind of together on this. You guys are...
I'm just saying,
maybe we could get him on the show.
If I were
look, I'm going to clip this. I'm going to send it to Walsh, and maybe we can get him as a guest.
But it's funny. Yeah, right. Yeah, fat chance of that. I did pick up, though, on Donald Trump's use of the word abortion rights. I did pick up on that. Walsh wasn't the only one to pick up on that. That is a strange phrase for a Republican to use, because they are framing it as a women's rights issue by using the word abortion rights. But Walsh had a string of pretty harsh tweets about this. And for a while, I actually thought that he had turned on Israel, because he seemed to be very harshly criticizing child murder. You know, he's going on and on about how, it's terrible to kill children. The mass murder of children can never be allowed. I thought, wow, did he turn on Israel? Is he gone? Is he out at the Daily Wire now? Is this another feud? Oh, no, it's in reaction to this. So, but yeah, I did pick up on that phrase, though. And that did sort of set something off in me, because this is absolutely a compromise. It's a pivot to the center. But it's something that, look, Trump, as I've said, as you mentioned earlier, he was known as being a novice politician, but a good businessman. He's actually the opposite. He's a lousy businessman, but very, very good at this game. And this was the only move. It's the only move. They could not double and triple down on a national ban, even if it was an agreed upon number. Because if you remember, his first move out of the gate was, we're going to come up with a number that everybody will be happy with. Well, if that number is a maximum period of time,
everyone was
even
talking
if
about
that's
the
12
weeks,
even if it's 12 weeks or 15 weeks, that's still a national restriction past that point. Right. And that's just a non-starter. I mean, you are really endangering yourself unnecessarily if you are the GOP staking out a position that has proven to be not only very threatening to you, but it has actually cost you a lot of very, very winnable races, not only in the midterms, all of these ballot measures. Kansas voted 60-40 to codify abortion rights in their state constitution, right? So, I mean, even in places where you would never think this would hurt you, it has hurt you. And so this was an absolute no-brainer from that standpoint. And there have been a couple of anti-abortion groups that have come out and said, we're disappointed in this, but we have to beat Biden's, right? They sound like the libs now. They sound like the Democrat groups now. Oh, yeah, it's too bad about Biden and, Medicare for all or genocide in Gaza, but we have to beat Trump, so we'll be there. Like, that's what these groups are doing now because they feel that they have to. And so, he's doing what he has to do. I mean, that's the only move as I see it.
Well, and that just demonstrates that it was the move, because that's always been the question. Well, are they going to stand on principle if the Republican nominee at all challenges their maximalist views on abortion? Apparently not. Yeah, you have a few diehards, but hey, man. All right, Matt Walsh, I do get the impression that he is kind of a committed Christian that way. Maybe he'll just not vote. Maybe he is one of those. I don't think that goes for most of them. When it comes down to Trump versus Biden, come on, man. They're gonna show up for Trump, and he is a good politician. He'll throw enough dog whistles out there that'll keep them satisfied. And frankly, in the end, I'm sorry to tell this to people who are very upset about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. You're probably never getting that back, like without a major, just complete shift in our politics and cultures. You're talking generations from now, because you're not going to get any codification past the filibuster. That's not going to happen. So you're not going to get it through Congress. And certainly you got 6 conservatives on the court. You're not getting it through the court. So in the end, states' rights is where it's going to be. I mean, if you want a more cheerful note, the filibuster goes the other way too. They're not going to be able to create a national ban either. States, it's going to be up to the states for the foreseeable future. Not for a few years, for decades. Like, this is it. This is how it's going to be. So why even take a stand on something that it's a fait accompli? Like, that this is it. This is where it is. There's no political way to change this now.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So the White House issued a statement, wasted no time. So this is from the Biden-Harris administration. Trump is simply lying. There was no groundswell of support in America for overturning Roe. True. In fact, support for Roe is higher today in America than it has ever been. Probably true. The real truth is Trump made a political deal in 2016. He promised to appoint a court that would get rid of Roe, and he had to make good on that debt. So he did. All right, so far, all passes the smell test. It was never about public policy or what was right or what Trump believed. Agreed. You know Trump is pro-choice. Come on. It was always about politics. Absolutely. Trump admits as much in his statement today. Having created the chaos of overturning Roe, he's trying to say, oh, never mind, don't punish me for that. I just want to win. Trump is scrambling. He's worried that since he's the one responsible for overturning Roe, the voters will hold him accountable in 2024. Well, I have news for Donald. They will. America was built on personal freedom and liberty. So, well, for some people. So there is nothing more un-American than having our personal freedoms taken away. And that is what Donald Trump has done. As I have said many times since the Dobbs decision, Donald Trump and all those responsible for overturning Roe don't have a clue about the power of women in America, but they are about to find out. Well, that is very reassuring that at least the Democrats have our back, because they have really, really good history of protecting abortion rights and not keeping the issue alive for their own political benefit. Hey, here's Michelle Obama right after it leaked that they were going to strike down Roe. You might remember a couple weeks before the decision, there was this leak. It's been a tough couple of weeks since we saw the leaked SCOTUS draft opinion on abortion. Even if we knew the courts were heading toward this day, it doesn't make the frustration, grief, and fear any less real. You know, I don't know if Obama had to sleep on the couch for a couple weeks after this decision came down, or if she just has a really short memory, or maybe she didn't watch Mehdi Hassan's segment on this, which I'm shocked they allowed to air on MSNBC. But here,
I don't know. I think Michelle had to sleep on the couch after this.
You think so?
Yeah.
Think maybe.
Yeah.
Alterview says, remember when President Obama said that codifying Roe v. Wade into law was not his top priority? So let's take a little walk back down memory lane.
He said passing the Freedom of Choice Act, a bill that would have cemented the right to choice as law of the land, was important to him. How important? Have a listen.
What would you do at the federal level, not only to ensure access to abortion, but to make sure that the judicial nominees that you will inevitably be able to pick are true to the core tenets of Roe v. Wade?
Well, the first thing I'd do as president is sign the Freedom of Choice Act. That's the first thing.
Well, guess what? It wasn't the first thing he signed into law, but it was still a top priority, right?
Freedom of Choice Act is not my highest legislative priority.
Wow, that was quite a turnaround once he got into office, huh? It was the first thing he was going to do, and he never did it. So when Democrats come out and cry crocodile tears about the loss of Roe v. Wade and its protections, they played a game with women's choice for decades because it was politically convenient. They didn't want to lose that issue. And now they make it coming and going. It's very heads I win, tails you lose. They overturn Roe. They can fundraise off it double what they were fundraising. It's a lot more, right? Before it was just protect Roe. Now it's we have to restore Roe. They're making money hand over fist. In the end, they really don't care about women who are going to go get back alley abortions. If they did, it would have been codified and none of this ever would have happened. So when Biden, who was part of that administration, stands up there and screams about how Donald Trump doesn't care about abortion rights, well, neither do you.
Yeah, and it's still more a campaign issue than it is anything else. There are still blue state governors who forego chances to perhaps strike a compromise with a Republican legislator about a limit, that guarantees rights up to a certain point, but not past a certain point, right? Which would settle the issue. It would take a lot of the suspense out of it, right? And obviously there's a cost to that, but there's obviously a tremendous benefit to that in the sense that you codify a certain amount of abortion rights in that particular area,
right.
Which then guarantees a certain rights within those lines. They forego that to keep it alive as a campaign issue because it's a giant fundraising issue. And so that remains even post Dobbs.
Well, this is where I guess I can do this reveal. We have Matt Taibbi joining us on Wednesday, where we're going to be getting into, among other things, his recent very controversial